Hi again, it's Jason Nemro. Welcome to IS 301 Introduction to Information Systems. This is Close Make the Man. When you think about how life works, especially how businesses run, how organizations use people, you can think of it like a clothing store. It's not a bad analogy to think about. Most people, well, let's get this thing going. There we go. The most people who go into a clothing store, they expect certain things when they go there. Number one, you're going to have a lot of stuff to pick from, and that there's going to be something in there that's your size and your style that you're going to like. Um, and you get to decide what clothes you buy. It isn't signed to you or anything crazy like that. And if you don't like the selection the store has, you can always go to another store. That's how we expect to buy clothes. Now, if the workplace worked like that, wouldn't it be fantastic? Man, that would be awesome. Because here's how you would go. You would have this whole cornucopia of jobs available to you and different organizations that you could work for. Um, and they're all kind of interested in acquiring you as a worker. It's really great because you could go and you say, well, I can expect to find a circumstance, a situation, pay, benefits, whatever, that suit me, that go along with what I want. Well, wouldn't that be a great place to work? And at the end of the day, you ultimately get to decide which job you're going to expect. And what organization you want to work with. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world? Have you ever had that experience yourself? Let's talk a little bit about the chances of getting of an ideal system-centered world. We talked a little bit about systems before. If you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. I like to call this the reverse clothing store. And this is how they work. They have a uniform. They have one uniform. And, well, they don't have one. They have several, but they're exactly the same. They're predetermined. This is what you wear when you go to this clothing store. This is what they have available. And you go and I use different words here because I want you to kind of get a sense for what it is. You end up being a patron of that store, and they kind of own you. So you're expected to conform to the uniform that they provide. It doesn't allow for much individuality. You are there to do a job for the organization, and the important thing is the organization, or the store in this case. Sorry, I'm kind of mixing up my metaphors, aren't I? I apologize. And the store decides if you can be their patron. It's like they have somebody at the door, not even have a tape measure, try to measure you a little bit and say, well, you're acceptable for our store. If you're not, off you go. Go away. It's not in their interest to be worried about if you don't fit their mold. Your job is to do whatever you can to fit their mold, because their mold's the important thing. Now let's apply that to the workplace, and you probably are seeing already some parallels here. Number one, an organization has certain jobs that it needs to get done. And if a person wants to work for that organization, they're going to have to try to fit themselves into what that organization needs. And your personal preferences probably are less important. In the ideal world, they wouldn't be important at all. It's all about the organization. It's all about the system. It's all about making things work. And when it comes down to it, the organization is going to decide if it wants you as a worker. So you can almost see it as it goes by. It's kind of like that guy at the front door of that reverse clothing store that has the tape measure and says, you're too tall, go away. Oh, you're within specification. You're right, come on in. Or, measuring you to see if you fit into their uniform. So there's a bit of a every workplace you're going to have is going to fall somewhere within that thing. There's not going to be anybody that's really horribly system oriented, and there's nobody that's really going to be customer oriented, as if you're their customer. When you start working with information systems, you'll soon find out that there's a lot more work to be done, and there's a lot more roles to be filled than there actually are people who are actually qualified to do them. That has some good sides for you, for human being A. Where's my finger? I need to point at you. I give up. Because you're always going to find aspects of both of these things going on. And it kind of goes the whole way where it's really kind of a supply and demand thing. All of you guys, I hope, are getting a good sense for that, being in the business realm, knowing that raw materials, anything like that, people just end up being treated just like they're raw materials or anything like that. It's very dehumanizing, but that's just the facts of the way it is. There are going to be less jobs than there are people to fill them. And that gives your employer a bit of an advantage in the fact that they kind of get to get that tape measure out and measure and say, I don't know if you're going to fit in our organization or not. The great part is well, there's two ways to look at it. Since you guys are all managers and you're going to be managing information systems, I know of no business these days that can function without some kind of information system. That you're going to either be in the position of being a manager trying to hire information system people, and you might have to treat them differently because they're actually backwards to what you would expect. Usually you're in a position of power, you have the job, and there's going to be a lot of applicants for your job. Often in information systems, it's the other way. There's a lot of organizations in desperate need of information system people, and there's only a few people to do that. And it's really interesting to see how that process goes, because they send out headhunters to go and find these really qualified people and try to get them to come to your company. And you usually have to offer bounties, you have to offer money to organizations and to those people to get them to come to your organization. I know it seems backwards and crazy, but welcome to information systems. It is actually a very different way to deal with things, and if you're not familiar with it and if you're not ready for it, you'll find yourself in terrible, terrible, terrible trouble. So just know it comes with that whole thing about being hospitable and being able to be a little demanding. In information systems, you've got to be really careful. You can't be really demanding on them because they can just leave and go someplace else that's more hospitable. So you end up having to be more hospitable. Probably it could be even counter to your normal way of doing things, of hiring people. So you have to be ready for a whole different hiring scheme when you deal with this stuff, because you're finding interesting people that don't tend to fit the clothes that you're used to providing as an organization. So be ready for it. It's a different world out there. It's kind of interesting. If you are an IS worker, you get accustomed to being catered to. If you're an organization, it might be really hard for you to adjust to the fact that you really have to cater to these people. And it's not, it's like, how come I'm having to pour so much money into people, into keeping people around in IS? And you go, because you need good people. And if you don't pay them, they will go someplace else. People are mobile that way. So remember that as a manager or as an IS worker. IS work is really excellent these days. And if you have the skill set for it, amazing. You can make good money, and you can really feel like that you are kind of the master of your own ship sometimes. Anyway, that's all we have for this time. Enjoy all the videos. Have a great day.